Hello everybody, I'm Ghost Valkyrie, and today I have a very special guest here for a very special video. So, being a YouTuber can affect a lot of people very differently, and he has had quite the special experience, as many of you probably know. So, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is TJ Henry Yoshi. I left a YouTube comment one time, and that's about all I have to say as an introduction.
What a way to become a YouTube famous. I left a comment one day.
The one thing I have to add is that I wouldn't exactly call myself a special guest. I try to make myself as accessible as possible to anyone who could ever want to talk to me. So
That's understandable. I sort of feel a very similar way. I try not to put myself too much on a platform and say, "Oh, I'm a YouTuber." Well, no, I like being a person. Being a person is a cool thing.
I mean, it's right there in my description of my Twitter. I label, instead of doing something like YouTube creator or Twitch streamer, which I'm not even sure if I am, I literally just have the label of internet person because I'm a person who exists on the internet.
That is a good point. That is a good thing. I don't even remember what I have for mine. I think I put something like, I make bad FE content at some point, and then I kind of just left it there, even though it's kind of a little bit outdated. But, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's get into, like, the big meat of it. So, tell me about that funny comment and about how that affected you and how that kind of stuff.
Well, I guess to sort of start off, it really kind of shoot, I'm gonna restart the sentence all over because I just immediately lost my train of thought. Shoot. Right. So when that happened, I was in a place where I was making YouTube content, not necessarily ready for like a large influx of viewers, but mainly just for a lot of my friends. For like back then, I was in a Google Plus group called the Mega Clan, where we would just kind of share content with each other, and as a result, I was kind of making content mainly for that group of people. And when all of a sudden my videos were getting this sudden attention, my first focus was trying to figure out how to make people who knew who I am interested in watching my videos, and that that definitely wasn't the most successful endeavor, but the main thing I took away from that is after that happened, I found myself much more willing to like cash in on that success any place I could. Like anytime a bigger YouTuber recognized me, I would immediately try to get their attention so that I could try to do stuff with them, and that was not a healthy thing to do, and I kind of regret that part of me going viral. But hey, when this has been your life for the past 5 years, you learn a lot of things.
I can definitely understand that. I mean, when I kind of first started taking off as like a YouTuber, I remember I wanted to like get more in touch with other people in the Fire Emblem community, so I ended up like talking with a few other people and trying to like get in touch with a few different people. I did a couple collabs with people who I end up talking with. The very first person I collabed with, I don't think he makes content anymore because he went to go do stuff as like a dad, but his name is Deltran, and I still have that interview up on his channel, which actually was also about being a YouTuber, but that is kind of a little bit outdated now, considering how old and how long ago that was.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine how long ago that was. It's still up on his channel, which is actually a blessing in disguise. Well, actually, that's not a blessing in disguise. That's just straight up a blessing, because if it was on my old channel, well, it wouldn't exist anymore. But thankfully, it still is up, and I think it's probably something that would be interesting to go back and rewatch for me someday. But my point is, like, I really want to like get in touch with a lot of different Fire Emblem YouTubers. Like like Deltran. I got in touch with Naji as well. Naji was another one of the first Fire Emblem YouTubers I talked with, and you know, it was really great. I got to meet a lot of really nice people in the community because of that sort of thing. I don't think I ever sucked up to anyone.
That's what I was gonna say. It sounds like your experience with collaborating has been much more community driven and less unless I guess for lack of a better term, egotistical. I wouldn't exactly say it was that bad, but like I think of like a lot of people I try to do stuff with, and really, I'm not exactly that similar to them in personality. It's just that they happen to know who I was, and I looked up to them, and that's just kind of how that went for me. And I regret the way I behaved back then, because I feel like it was a little bit too much. I mean, I don't exactly regret it, because it wasn't that bad. It's just like younger you being cringy. That's what it comes down to. It was still cool. It was still cool to get to meet those people, though, even if some of them do not follow me to this day.
Yeah, I feel that. Like, I think a lot of what happened with my early channel is my problem wasn't necessarily sucking up to other people. The problem with my early channel is that I really did not format my channel well, I don't think. I would post a lot of, like, even back when I had, like, 29 subscribers, I would try and put out, like, a Smash montage every week or every month or something like that. And I remember, like, posting some video saying, like, oh, my Roy montage will probably be another week because I'm busy. And I had, like, 29 subscribers back then. So, it's like, yeah. But, like, beyond that, I had an absurd amount of update videos. And, like, prior to me kind of solving the sort of mental stuff I dealt with after my first channel got taken down, you know, I definitely had a lot of update videos on my channel as well, even before then. Eventually, I just stopped making update videos because I'm just like, what's the point anymore? I don't see why I need to constantly say, I will be this, I will be that, I'm going to be doing this. Instead, now I just do what I want to do. I don't really need to declare myself as one thing or the other. I'm just doing something that I love.
It's funny to hear you say that, because it sounds like we both struggled in like complete opposite facets of YouTube. Because back when I was heavily trying to do YouTube, as like that was like pretty much like I'm talking like around the time where it was like right after the meme. My focus was always to try to be one of those creators who put only like all of their work into the content they make. So as a result, I've completely just waved off the idea of being anything resembling consistent. It sounds like you were trying to like do stuff every week, whereas I'm over here was like, okay, I'm going to edit this as much as I possibly can with my very bad editing skills, and it's going to not, and the end result is not going to be worth it.
Don't worry, I actually felt a lot of my earlier content I didn't really feel too proud of, like, I mean, mainly audio wise.
That just comes. I mean, that's just how it goes, really.
Yeah, that's true. Like, and there was like one video that was editing wise I was proud of, but audio wise I wasn't too fond of, and that was effectively using Takumi. And that one, I really like what I did with the video where I just made a ton of initial D references.
Oh yeah,
and...
I just want to quickly interject on this because I knew this was going to be brought up at some point. But what literally brought me to your channel when I first found it that one time is just the fact that you made Eurobeat and initial D references, and I was just like, yes.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. I remember you seeing like. I remember you leaving a comment on my like original Foyer Emble Earlobes video because I had what was the song that I had? It was I
am Mr. Blaster, or are you talking
Mr.
about
Blaster? Yeah, I am Mr. Blaster.
Yeah.
Instead it was I am Mr. Hector. Oh ho ho.
Yeah. I mean, that was honestly a clever punchline, but
yeah. I think I like that like one part at the end because he has like this one quote where he said, "My arm is singing," and then he like goes into like him like the next line of vocals is just his arm singing into a microphone.
Your Fire Emblem Earlobes video, like, they're the epitome of like what just got me into your channel, because it's just the most shitposty kind of thing where it's just like, when I say shitpost, but I keep forgetting that actually has a literal meaning, but it's very memey, and I just love that.
that's kind of what my content is. My content is just completely unhinged. I just like
I hear you say I hear you say that, and the first thing that comes to mind is I don't even watch the show in question, but I remember I just saw this in my sub box, and I was just, what the fuck are you making? And the video I'm thinking of is I think it was an April Fool's video, which Love Life Girl is the most Cassie.
oh yeah, that thing, that lovely, wonderful thing that I did for April Fools that last year. That was that's just sort of like I'm gonna do it because I think it would be funny, and that's how I do things, because I do things like that.
I mean, I watched it because just the title was so absurd that I was just like, what the fuck is going on here?
I am a very absurd person, and I own it 100%.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, like, I think the most fun that I found with my channel is, instead of sticking to more rigid content uploads every week or that kind of thing, it's more so just make something silly or dumb once in a blue moon just because I feel like it, and then I get to make something silly. I have been thinking about trying to, like, find other ways to, like, expand my content. Like, I'm thinking of, like, trying to do something, like, comedy related with Love Live in another way. But I haven't really had the time to really edit that just yet, because like, the video ideas that I do have sometimes can be a bit editing intensive and can take a while. Like, Fire Emblem Faint, that series that I've been doing are some of the most labor-intensive videos that I've ever made, but they're also some of my most favorite videos I've ever made, because they're just, I love them a lot. I don't mean to laugh at my own jokes, but I genuinely believe that those are some of my funniest videos.
Yeah, I'm in an interesting situation, because the biggest problem with me trying to direct my own channel is that I've never really had a direction I've particularly wanted to go. Like, for a while, when I first was making my channel, the main draw of my channel was that I'd be like a gameplay highlights channel, where it's like, all right, well, here's me playing this game and me doing a lot of editing over it, and that was not a format that I enjoyed and was not worth my time.
So like something
even now
like
I don't
Grapefruit.
exactly know, but I don't actually know Grapefruit enough. Probably my personal biggest inspiration in that kind of thing would be like Lethero.
Oh yeah. Well, Lethero and Grapefruit do definitely technically have some like similarities in their things, but yeah, I've seen a lot of Lethero's stuff. Definitely like some like his older like Mario Kart things that he's done.
Yeah, like some of those videos are a lot of the greatest inspiration for me making my own stuff, and it's definitely gotten better since then. Like, comparing the really stupid, or I wouldn't even say it was stupid, but just my poor sense of understanding of what makes something funny in, like, say, my oldest videos on my channel, which are an Undertale Let's Play, which are very bad. Do not watch that, please. And comparing that to one of my more recent videos, which was the highlights of a Pepsi Man race I did with one of my friends who streams as a VTuber. That was honest, like, the difference in level of quality I've been able to do between those is much more noticeable. Like,
just hearing Pepsi Man race with VTuber just sounds amazing in its own right.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. It was just a really off-the-wall idea, because, I mean, when I first met him, I didn't even know he was a VTuber. But basically, he's also a game dev. Genuinely, he does a lot of stuff. But I met him one time because I played the demo of one of his games, and I was like, huh, this is cool. And apparently he knew who I was, and I was like, for some reason or another, this friendship bloomed a lot more naturally than most of the other times a YouTuber has recognized me, or maybe or I say YouTuber, but someone has more clout than me, I'd say. and it felt like we were on a similar level, like platform almost, like because it seemed like we both had a sort of mutual respect for each other, whereas I felt like a lot of the other people I've collabed with more so were lowering themselves down to my level. But anyway, that stream was the most fun I've had live streaming, and I was like, I'm definitely making highlights out of this because it was really fun.
I mean, for me personally, I actually like I've tried streaming before, like solo. Like I tried like streaming Pokemon Emerald as a randomizer with like randomized moves and that kind of thing. But it had very low viewership, and one of my streams that had like a ton of stuff happen in it ended up just getting completely deleted for absolutely no reason. So after that, I was just kind of done. I didn't want to do that anymore. But I have enjoyed a lot more doing streams with other Fire Emblem YouTubers, like Future Vision, who is a good friend of mine. She is really funny, and she makes really great content for Fire Emblem Heroes, and she also does a lot of streams of both Fire Emblem and Pokemon. She recently tried an Iron Man. Unfortunately, she did fail that later on, but she went through and just did it without the Iron Man part and completed it, and that was a very silly, a very amazing time to be a part of. So that kind of stuff, that's what I like doing. I like being a kind of person who adds on to a stream, who jumps in and adds funny commentary, as opposed to the guy who streams myself because my internet is hot garbage.
See, I get that a lot. The main thing about me is as I said it before, I've never been able to find a consistent about what I want to do. When I was started at this point, and then I got sidetracked by talking about the Pepsi Man race. But I feel like I myself, just as a person, am not a consistently funny person, or am really fit to just like have my personality drive my YouTube channel. So, or maybe not that, but have my commentary and witty like jokes push my YouTube channel. I feel like that's just not the way I'd work best. So recently I've been thinking about trying to move my channel more in the direction of just being more sincere content. That's what I think makes cause that's what I think is my personal strength. And the best example of this is, I think it's my second most recent video, which is just a talking video. Oh wait, no, it's definitely not. It's the fourth one. In terms of like effort videos, it's my second most recent video, but it's just a video of me talking about how to get popular on YouTube, which is a very similar topic.
Oh yeah, I actually watched that video. I forget what I commented on it, but I remember really liking that video. I agree with just about everything you had said in that video, and I wish I could remember what it was so I could actually talk about it here, but
it was just like a miscellaneous list of things, like, oh, well, these are ways that can get you attention on the platform, and it's like, yeah, it worked out pretty decently. I had a lot of fun making that video because I sat down and recorded that all in one day and edited it, and it was just simple and just me talking, and I think I liked that, and I want to do more analyses videos like that, but maybe a little bit longer. But I've tried to do a lot of scripted videos in the past. What I find is that when it comes to like writing out a script and then trying to edit and all that stuff, that tends to be a lot more work than it's worth. And so I might continue to do more videos like that in the future. My most recent, it's that and shit posts, such as the Remember video I made 2 weeks ago.
Do you remember?
Yeah. And I have another one in the works right now. That's a Dunkachino video.
Oh boy.
And I'm very excited for that.
Sounds like
basically
a bop.
All I'm going to say is that it's a YTPMV, but because I'm not good at making audio, I just straight up commissioned somebody else to do the audio, and I'm just going to do the visuals. So far, that's coming along very nicely, and I've been having a lot of fun editing it. And I think that with the direction it's going, it's probably going to be my most high quality video on my channel.
That sounds amazing. I can't wait to see that. Actually, I feel like I've tried doing something similar to that in the past, where I tried making like Mario 64 like songs, but like overlaid with like various Fire Emblem Heroes songs. Like Dire Dire Docks instead it was Dire Dire Thunder with Reinhardt, and like the actual audio qualities for those wasn't really too great, but
I mean, I Am Mr. Hector was another one of those attempts.
that
in
actually
the
was,
Iron
yeah.
Reload video. And it's like, what I've learned, YTPMV is fucking hard.
It is
I don't
super
understand.
hard.
I don't understand how people can just crank out such good sounding things. And I've tried many times to do YTPMV in the past, and I'm just not good at it. I can, but I've noticed that my visuals for YTPMV tend to be pretty decent, and the work in progress I have on the Dunkachino video is very strong proof of that, because I sent back my progress so far to the person who I had make the audio for me, and they said that it looks really good. And it's just like, I agree, and I'm just really happy about how it's coming. And I don't know, it just seems like it's a lot more open-ended, and there's not a clear success or fail when it comes to making visuals. But I think that in the end, this will easily be one of my favorite videos I've ever created. Maybe probably my absolute favorite, depending on how well I can make it.
Like, I mean, I feel like there's like one more thing that I would maybe want to try, but I don't know if it would be copyrighted. Like, basically, like Ruby from Love Live, she has this thing where she kind of just says "piggy" or something like that, roughly, which is like a surprise. And it's like "piggy," and
Yeah.
I was thinking I would make a sort of like a joke off of that, where it would, like, you know Pee Wee Herman's Breakfast Machine.
I do not off that name, no.
I think it has like I remember you might remember like the actual sound of the song. I had to look it up.
Probably.
Because I only found out through Neil Cicierega, because he made a joke off of it in his Mouth Dreams thing, where he made a song. It was like Pee Wee Incorporated was a mix of that song and Feel Good Incorporated. I don't know if you listened to Mouth Dreams at all, but
I have. I'm trying to think of what you're referring to, and I don't.
that's like dun 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 dun
Oh,
dun
that
dun
one.
dun.
That one.
Yeah. So I was thinking I would take Pee Wee Herman's Breakfast Machine and mix that up, like make like a cover over with Ruby noises from Love Live, and it would be Piggy Herman's Breakfast Machine.
Oh no.
That's kind of what I kind of want to do that, but I don't know if that's copyright or not. I'll have to double check that, because I want to make absolutely sure that it's not copyright, but...
I mean, I'm sure your run-in with Avex has probably shown just how careful you have to be of that.
Yeah, with, I mean, I don't even know if, all the Eurobeat was what got my original channel taken down, but the fact that I don't know doesn't mean I can't, it means that I can't just try and guess that, hope that it isn't a second time, because I don't want to have my channel exploded.
Yeah, completely understandable.
I think I think, like, that's mainly, like, my big thing. Like, losing my first channel has given me a very new outlook on how I do content. Like, I have to be a lot more restrictive. That's why I have my Wix website. Actually, I can probably just put that video up onto there, because that's where I put all my copyright content.
Oh yeah, I remember that video about how you beat copyright by doing that, and I still need to actually look at that a bit more.
I posted two things. So, like, the first one was like I wanted to put it on Google Drive, but then I realized that it was gonna run out of space super quick, and then the links didn't really work super well from what I heard from people on my server. So then I ended up just making my own Wix website, and apparently that works just fine. So then I made another video. I said I beat copyright again, and it worked.
Yeah.
It worked, and that's the funniest part. I circumvented copyright in the most amazing way possible.
Yeah, certainly one way of making it work.
Yeah. So yeah, that channel has a bunch of like my old content, like effectively using Pink Floyd, which has a bunch of Pink Floyd songs in it. Effectively using Talk Me got put up there too, actually. So that video is in fact not dead. That video does still in fact exist for viewership, just not on YouTube. And then I also have like a few other Love Live things, and I think like 2 music projects that I did for one of my classes.
I mean, yeah, if it works, it works.
if it works, it works. Yeah. I am kind of glad that I came up with that idea, because now I can really do anything I really want to do, and goof without it without having to fear copyright, because I can just do that.
Yeah.
Like, there was one other thing that I tried, where I tried like making like a goofy edit of this one Love Live song called Hajimari Road. So I made a video called Hajimari Road, but I ruined it, and it's full like I completely screwed with the song and did distorted parts and overlaid different things, and I there's like one part near the end where they have a part that sounds almost rap-ish, but not quite, but has like a certain like beaten like tone to it. So I overlaid that section with Nookie by Limp Bizkit. And that was a very interesting product, and I'm greatly amused by my success in that endeavor, if you can call it a success.
Yeah, it sounds like an absolute just Frankenstein of two things that do not belong together.
I feel like my entire channel is a Frankenstein of many things that do not belong together.
You know, you are correct.
That I am very like generally, like, my whole thing is like I love Love Live, but like I don't like other idol animes, and I usually don't listen to like K-pop or anything similar to that kind of music. Normally the music I listen to is like Sabaton, so like, well, Sabaton Eurobeat, but yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, on that note, this is very irrelevant to the entire conversation, and as I said, I don't know how useful this audio will be to you and if you'll actually be able to make anything out of it. But when it comes to that sort of idol thing, I'm not an idol person either. But my friend Nikki, who is another person I've met because of the meme, but who I've managed to actually hit it off with and become good friends with, I guess Nikki and Maple, two people, Maple Java and Nikki Rita, they got me into a show called Symphogear. And
oh, I got people on my server who love Symphogear. Oh, they're gonna like you. They're gonna like you.
Symphogear is weird because I can't exactly hard recommend it because I have so many problems with a lot of the things that happen in the show, but but not enough so to where it's like it's Symphogear. A lot of times you just have to accept that it's dumb and move on. But in many ways, it's like Initial D in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, I like that there's that's the kind of thing that I love. Like, if you take anime too seriously, then I feel like that can ruin a lot of like the actual enjoyment about it. Like, I'm actually a huge JoJo fan, and yeah, JoJo is wacky and confusing and makes no sense at times, but that's what I love about it. I think one of the actual like big strengths of JoJo is the fact that like a lot of the different fights, because of just the absolute nonsense that Araki can come up with, that it means that there's always something like new, and you can like, it's not always easy to say, oh, they're going to get out of the situation by doing X. Like, no, I find that they don't have a clear objective, or they don't always have a clear goal to get to when dealing with like a stand fight, that kind of thing. And I find that makes like some of the scenes more tense and more fun. That's just kind of what I like about it.
One of these days, I will watch JoJo. It's funny because of the majority of my friends, I'd say that I'm like, okay, like at least my IRL friends, I'd say I'm like the weebiest one, which is funny because I've watched so few anime proportionately to them. And as my friend Max tells me, being a weeb is not about the quantity, but it's about just the sheer level of just obsession. And I absolutely think that's true.
I'd agree, honestly. Yeah, like
especially when you just, if anyone's ever looked at my Twitter, they've been flooded by several retweets of me just retweeting Orin art.
Or other Toho stuff, or that kind of stuff. Like,
it's usually Orin, but a lot of other Toho stuff makes its way on there, and I usually will sometimes do some simple, like, I just have a large fixation on these things.
I know. I mean, like, back when I was in, like, oh god, back when I was in high school, I was, like, I didn't get into anime until junior year, and honestly, I see this kind of a blessing in disguise. Actually, no, just as a blessing. I think that's the second time today I've said, oh, this is a blessing. No, this is a blessing in disguise. Oh, no, this is actually a blessing. But
Yeah.
I was just, I was a cringy... Oh boy, I was a special boy. I was a special boy, let me say that much. But...
I had a very similar experience where I didn't get at all into anime until college, and it's funny because I never really thought about this until you brought it up, but like, no, I definitely am glad that that's how it stayed, because the most that I really dealt with was by senior year, I discovered Eurobeat and still hadn't really watched Initial D much. But I discovered Eurobeat, had a huge obsession with it, and anytime I've brought it up to a lot of people, and I'd say in what I'd call probably my first good video ever, which was my senior Words of Wisdom, which was a school assignment, where basically just as a graduating senior, I just pass on some advice in a funny way to people who are younger than me. In my making of that video, I just decided, all right, I'm just going to go as all out with it as possible and just do everything about myself, and it just opens with me getting out of bed and just like rushing out the door to shoot, what song is it?
how's it go?
Oh, Night and Day.
Night and day, I feel alone.
Exactly, and like it's the entire skit, like the entire intro to that song, and then as I'm driving down the road, it just has me singing, I don't know what I'm doing.
That's probably like the funniest lyric. Like on YouTube, there's like literally the top comment is like someone in like bold font saying, I don't know what I'm doing. That's probably the most funny out of context Eurobeat lyric.
There's a lot
ever.
of. I don't think it does that for me, because there's a lot of really funny out of context Eurobeat lyrics.
Manuel, I'm your tiger.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Another one is pretty much any like single lyric isolated from Running in the 90s. Like that's another really big one. A lot of Toho Eurobeat is very much like that. Eurobeat's also the reason I got into Toho. I'm just realizing that. I'm trying to think of the one in particular I'm thinking of. There's one that's a Eurobeat version of UNO in. Shoot. I'm probably not gonna be able to find it. I'm gonna see if I can.
No, actually, recently, like I started listening to a little bit of Eurobeat just because I hadn't listened to it in a little while, and I'd never realized how weird the start of dancing was. Like, it's like cool vibrations. I want to dance. It's so weird. Why did I never notice how weird that is?
It's the best. I don't know how you could not notice it. It's like the epitome.
Yeah, it feels like I don't even know how many times in the anime too, because that's like because it plays a ton with the freaking two girls. God, I forgot what the name of their. I think what was the name of their car? Like the blue. There was like a blue something or other.
That song wasn't in that race. That song is like literally Shingo's theme song.
Oh no! Wait, no, Shingo. What am I? Oh, God, my initial knowledge is so rusty.
It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah, Shingo. My bad.
I don't blame you, because Initial D, very similarly to Symphogear, is not a show I can recommend with absolute certainty, because there's a lot of things about Initial D that piss me off. The one thing it has going for it is that it's a somewhat interesting story for the most part, and Eurobeat is there to just make every race much more enjoyable. Beyond that, the plot is fucking. I don't know what kind of drugs the person who wrote that story was on, because like you think you understand where it's going and then you just don't, and
I think it's just like weirdly episodic and just like, we're fighting this thing now, and also this guy has a computer and he's going to type out the exact specific best way that this car can go down on this very specific mountain, because that's That's the Takanashi brothers for ya. Whoopsie.
Have you by chance not heard not watched past season 3?
I have watched seasons 1 through 4 and Extra Stage.
Okay, so you've not watched Final Stage. Final Stage is really where it goes off the rails, because 1 through 4 is pretty okay. The main problem I have with Eurobeat, this was the point I was trying to make earlier with it, but the main problem sorry, did I say Eurobeat? I meant Initial D. The main problem I have with Initial D is the fact that every individual character is ridiculously forgettable, except Takumi, the Takahashi brothers, and freaking Shingo. Every other character is painfully forgettable.
I mean, honestly, do we need any other characters? It's just like, hey, funny man does race, and yeah, and I just like, I don't know, I don't think we need more characters. I just like having Takumi show up and do funny things like, oh, this guy slipped on a leaf, and then Takumi goes around him, or then you have like just cool things like, you cannot tell me there is a cooler thing in any racing anime than the blind attack. The blind attack I live for, especially because they just like, I will never listen to Forever Young without seeing that scene. It's beautiful. It's art. I also just realized we got entirely sidetracked from what we were talking about just to go on a rant about Initial D.
I mean, that was kind of needed because I needed time to pull up the song I was looking for. The song I was looking for, the song I was looking for is I don't know how you would enunciate this, but it's the word unknown but a dash between every level, and it's by the Dojin Circle Crazy Beats. And to quote the chorus, you have no face. No, it is not true. Knew you came along now and then. Name your lover, oh my sister.
What?
Who told you no one lives?
What?
It's like Toho Eurobeat is the epitome of just Japanese people singing words that are in the most incoherent English, and I freaking love it.
That sounds very funny. Like, what was the first one you said? It's like the thing about not having a face.
Oh, I'll just send you the tweet that highlights it. It's great.
Okay. Yeah, just hearing about that not having a face, it reminded me of like Local 58. If you're familiar with that, there's like, because there's like one thing in it that's like, there are no faces, and like a robotic-ish voice, and that kind of brought me up. But yeah,
I sent you the tweet so you can hear the lyrics for yourself, because it's.
Well, if I play it right now, it's gonna get caught on my OBS, so I'll.
Fair enough.
I'll listen to that after this. But anyway.
And then also another thing I forgot is when it loops again, it switches to you not having a face, you not having eyes.
You're not having a face. You're not having.
You have no face, no, it is not true. It's just so dumb, and I love it. Anyway, we're very off track from the YouTube topic, but I just want to highlight that.
All right, let's go back to a YouTube topic, and while still staying, let's segue into it in a fun way. So you said like 5 seconds ago, it makes no sense, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I like to do my channel. Segue complete, yay! So. Yeah, I like doing dumb things on my channel. I like to do funny things, like where I have like my like what I do with like a lot of my quote-unquote characters with Fire Emblem Faint is I have Corin as just sort of like the dumb character, the dumb main character who just kind of says and does dumb things.
I mean, I may not be very much of a Fire Emblem fan, but that just seems like what he is anyway.
That is, you're not wrong. And then Azura, like in the first one, I thought she was like, I think in the second one, that one is probably my favorite. But I wish I probably could have toned down Azura's kind of like sarcastic, I hate everyone sort of attitude, because I think I went a little bit too far with that. That made it not as funny. But and I do have some like very silly things like in the first Fire Emblem Faint for like Birth Wrong, they have to go to like this concert hall in Fates, and so they're like, oh, Azura, you can dance, you can distract Garen, and then we can like sneak into Nora. She says like, oh, I can't do that, because then we wouldn't be able to sneak away with with me if I'm also here. And he's like, oh, that's not, oh, well, whoops, I guess that we can't do that. And then she's like, don't worry, I have an idea. And then just frickin' Hanukkah from Love Live comes in and sings Snow Halation. And then Garen's just like, oh my god, I love Wake Up Girls! Which is a different Idol anime that I tried once and actually really did not like, because I've heard it's not a great Idol anime anyway, but I felt like just using that as a joke just for the sake of it.
Sure. Yeah. I wish I had more to say about what I do on my channel, but like, I've just not done much in terms of like the making videos kind of side of things.
I feel like we've talked a lot about YouTube channels, but now I kind of want to shift a little bit more towards like talking about like fans and that kind of thing, like how fans can like influence someone.
Yeah. I'm gonna just get it out of the way because I feel like there's a decent chance that it's the first thing that everyone talks about. Let's talk about Dream.
Ah, boy. Yeah, let's get it out of the way. Let's peel the band-aid.
Yeah, let's just rip it off. I don't really know what there is to say about it. I don't think there's much to say about it in particular because I don't understand how we got to this point over
I don't either, honestly. Like
there was genuinely one time where one of my friends just made a tweet calling Dream egotistical or something like that, and I literally just replied to their tweet, like completely non like invasively, saying something like, yeah, something about this conversation seems like there was something that shouldn't have been said, and that some of the behavior here is like cover up, and immediately like one person retweets it, and suddenly I come back like 5 minutes later, and it's been like retweeted like 50 times of people just commenting on it. Like, I don't know how it got to this point, because one, dude fucking plays Minecraft, but two, I genuinely do think this actually relates to a late night. Wait, was this the tweet that I forgot if it was this tweet or if it was something else that made you interested in doing this video? Because there was a long thread I made about just like absolute existential crisis. I couldn't sleep over YouTube stuff, and one of the things is that I feel like there's some people who are just like objectively like not good people, and I'm not even necessarily certain of that for like Dream, but the what I've taken away from him isn't exactly a positive image.
Yeah, and I mean, I think part of what may be part of it is possibly like a negative feedback loop. Like, the fact that so many people are calling him out on things and saying that they don't like him is all the more fuel for the fire for his fans to sort of like continue to rag on and continue to do all those like Twitter trending things just because that's what, because I'm certain that they know that that's annoying people and that they're going to keep doing that just to annoy people. Like, I feel like that's part of why I feel like that's part of like an endless cycle that's going to just keep on repeating for a long time until eventually either the fans get bored of it, which I kind of doubt, or if something absurd happens and he ends up getting like deplatformed or something crazy like that, and then stuff happens. But I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think
that's going to happen.
I genuinely no, I don't think it is. And for now, all I can really say is that for now, I've just removed my Twitter trending bar, and my life has been so much better for it.
I can imagine.
I still get glimpses of the creepy behavior that ends up happening there, but but thankfully it's not a daily occurrence. It's just kind of like, yep, these people still exist, I guess.
I feel like when anyone has like a following, like regardless of how they act, I feel like a following can cause a lot of it can cause a shift in the way that people view a YouTuber. Like, you know, I had someone in another server.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm sorry. I just want to make a quick interjection with this, because I think it's more than just that. I think it can also shift the way that the person in general behaves.
yes, I agree with too.
And but I'll tackle that topic when you're finished with your point here. I just wanted to bring that up real quick now.
Yeah. Like there was someone in a different server, not my server, but like some other server that I had joined at one point, and they had kind of like tried and like simp for me, and like they were constantly saying like, "Oh, I love your voice. Oh, I love your voice," and that kind of thing. And I finally like said like, and then I finally asked them like, "Hey, like," and they said like, and then they turned out that they were actually like 15, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna shut this down immediately." So I like DM'd them and I said, "Hey, I'm really not comfortable with you simping over me, especially if you're underage," and thankfully they stopped. But yeah, it's just like I feel like there's gonna be a lot of those kinds of fans out there in general who kind of like don't really understand that dynamic and are kind of younger and will jump at the chance to be a friend of a big YouTuber or something like that, or to get some attention from a big YouTuber. And I feel like that's
I mean, hell, I was doing that just 5 years ago when they were actually giving me any sort of attention. So
yeah,
I get
like,
that, but like,
so like the way I see it, it's like, you know, I don't want to abuse my power. Like, you know, I'm very aware that as a YouTuber I have sway over my audience, and I want to make sure that I don't do anything wrong. I don't do anything unsavory. I don't want to, and that if anyone is interacting with me, they're interacting with me as a person, and not because they want to talk to me as funny YouTuber man, because YouTuber man. And I feel for YouTubers who don't have that sort of mindset, who think that like they have a big following and that they can get away with things, I think that's part of why we have YouTubers who end up getting like drama coming out about them doing something scummy. And, you know,
yeah, that actually, so this conversation has made me actually, like, in the least expected outcome to come from this conversation, just hearing you talk about that and thinking about like how I was in my early days of just having gotten some level of attention. You've actually kind of made me rationalize the people that I was originally like just going to be like, what the fuck is going on? But now I actually feel like I kind of get it. But going in that same vein of someone's platform changing the way their fan base behaves, let's now transition to how that affects the person in general, because I've seen it happen quite a bit, and it's really unfortunate that it does, because honestly, some of the people who used to be amongst my favorite, I've kind of seen them start to feel a bit less human, and that's kind of driven me crazy. I'll let you decide in post if you're still gonna make a video of this, of course. I'll let you decide whether that's something, whether you want to cut out the names of the people I'm talking about. But to name a few of them, people like freaking Slimesicle and J-Schlatt, their videos used to have so much personality to me, but now they just feel like so soulless, and I cannot bring myself to watch them.
That's actually literally what happened with SMG4. Like, that used to be one of my favorite YouTubers growing up. Like, the guy who would do, like, I was like, do you remember, like, Freddy's Spaghetteria?
I know who SMG4 is. That was actually one of the people who I did kind of suck up to in the early days, because that was when the Homo Bros were doing their Mario speedruns, and I wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that was part of what I was talking about earlier about sucking up. And to name a couple others, there's also Nathaniel Bandy and Simple Flips. Those are the other two like main ones, and all three of those have since unfollowed me. But I know exactly what you mean. I never really liked I never watched Mario 64 Machinima past like age 10 or 11, so I never really got too keen on SMG4 particularly, but it was still kind of a thing where like I absolutely respect the medium, but yeah, I can see what you're referring to here with this.
Yeah, like I remember like way back in the day, like his videos always just had like some sort of like really funny charm to them, where they're just like crazy and off the wall and just really funny. But then he took this like weird shift toward like this more like narratively driven content that kind of clashes with the original style that he had going for him. And then especially like he had like all these new characters, like that like one like blue gamer girl with that one singular voice line that she uses over and over. Oh no! And then it's like, then there's like bootleg Monica Doki Doki Literature Club that like came in at one point, and then there was like the Inkling who at first was like an Inkling with a different thing, but then just became like this horrible human design that I just find is disgusting. I'm actually gonna. What, do you want me to show you it? I have a screenshot.
Sure.
Yeah. Like,
Sure.
yeah.
I'm interested in seeing.
Yeah.
And
It's
getting an idea of what you're referring to with this.
yeah.
It's interesting though, because we're talking about two very different kinds of YouTubers here. Because in my case, it's been more of like the sort of gameplay sort of thing where it's like, yeah, these guys just make highlights of their game, and the way they do it has changed. But yours seems to be more about like specifically like larger narratives and like quick things. What the heck is this?
That's how I thought you would
like-
react. Yeah, I don't like it either. I don't like it either. Like,
This thumbnail reminds me of like YouTube for kids and like the everything you want to avoid showing your like I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Like those just like really fucking bizarre animations that show up on YouTube Kids for some reason.
yeah, like it does kind of remind me a bit of that. It doesn't look like an Inkling anymore. It just looks like an amalgamation of
Oh, it's weird.
an eldritch abomination that has arisen from the depths of oblivion.
I wouldn't exactly say it's that bad, but it definitely looks very strange, and I'm not a fan of it.
I don't mean to rag on it too much, but I just don't like how, you know, SMG4 used to be one of my favorite YouTubers, and I don't like how their content is just kind of lost that sort of spark that they used to originally have. And I feel like the reason why a lot of YouTubers do kind of lose that spark is because, like, you know, as I mentioned in like that one of the YouTube videos that I made before about YouTubers and how the content creation paradox, you know, doing content over and over and over again, the same style over time, it gets old. It gets old really fast, and then people want to branch out, and then that new content doesn't have that same pull that your original content does, and that can cause like a sort of like negative impact on the way you view your content.
I'm not sure if I agree with that. I feel like there's examples of that, but in what we're talking about, particularly like with SMG4 and with J Schlatt and with Slimecicle, and just the way they've changed the way they market their videos, it feels a bit different, because instead of being a clash in their style, it just seems like there's less of a point, and that they're much less original with their content. Like, I mean, I guess it's harder to make this argument with SMG4, but like, the biggest thing I can look at with J Schlatt and Slimecicle is like Slimecicle used to like I feel like Slimecicle's the easiest one to point to, because I can clearly identify what about his content was appealing to me when I was watching him in early days, and that's just because dude is one of the most clever dudes I've seen in terms of either his, I don't know if he does some of this stuff from writing, or if he does some of it or if he just does this on the spot, but a lot of his like live streams, like a lot of his live streams, like some of the videos I can point to are like his Smash videos, which it's very easy to make very samey montages, but there's just a delivery to the jokes he would make with the characters he plays that I just don't see any other person coming up with those same jokes. Like, he's just so in the moment and able, like, it's the same kind of energy as like Chugga Conroy, and his ridiculous ability to make puns, but he
Chugga's
uses
the best.
wordplay. He is, but he would use wordplay to his absolute best, and I feel like as time's gone on, we've gotten to see less and less of that. And I think another really good example of like when he was good at that was in one of the Lunch Club videos, which is the fake doctor show or something like that. Dude's funny in that. Like he's really funny, and like I don't know how he does it, but then in a lot of his more recent videos, it feels much like a lot of that's gone because he'll play just like some random survival game, like survival based game, and he's like, oh, this new Minecraft update looks really weird. Like that's like one thing he'll do. He'll do like the 5th Jackbox video in 2 weeks. Like I feel like a lot of that charm is just not there anymore, and I don't think it's because they've changed. They're wanting to change styles as much, but just because they're kind of going for what's the easier and lower hanging fruit.
That's understandable. I mean, that's kind of how I also saw SMG4's sort of like change in style, like not necessarily because like although actually I don't know. I don't know why they changed their content style. Like I think that they kind of do it kind of just because they more so enjoy it, I believe. Like that is my belief as to why they did change it. But like when I look at some of like their more modern content, like a lot of the jokes and things feel like very basic, not really that original in terms of plots. Like there was like a Christmas episode with like Meggie, and then she gets hit by a like that's the weird Inkling girl. This is before that she transformed into the Abomination, but she gets like hit by a snowball, and everyone's like, "Oh no!"
Right.
She got hit by a snowball. Then she laughs. She's like, "Oh haha! Don't worry, it's funny, cause it's Christmas," and everyone's like, "Yay!" And that feels like that feels like a cheesy ending that I would get out of like an old Christmas movie or something. From like it doesn't feel. It feels like very basic and not really well done, and just sort of like tacky. Is that the word? Would that be a good word to describe it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so. Like, that'd be a decent word. Probably not the word you're looking for, and I can't think of it either. But like, I know exactly what you're trying to describe here, and I definitely kind of agree that I'm in the same boat. Because it's unfortunate to see some people go down that route, and it seems like what's even worse is that a lot of the people who I can point to and cite as people who don't go down that route as much are a lot of people who have been in a lot of trouble for doing things that are questionable.
So I don't know whether this is going to get cut into the video, but I want to just sort of pick up wherever I had cut off with regarding other YouTubers and that kind of thing, with saying something that happened within the Fire Emblem community. There was 2 very prominent figures in the community who had some like very serious allegations pushed against them, those being Chazaria and Mangs, that being like a PAX East panel with a bunch of other FE-tubers. Like they kept it under wraps for a while, for a lot of various reasons, but eventually they did kind of bring it to light. And so like that kind of thing, like at first Mangs kind of like made like a tweet longer and kind of said like, oh, I didn't really like, I mean, I was just trying to give like a friendly wake up hug or something like that, but then like later confessed in a different twit longer, although sadly I cannot link to that because that is his Twitter has now been deleted. But then like very shortly after, another person from a quote unquote solved case, because everyone believed it was sort of solved and proven false, was accusations against Chazaria, who is another friend of Goose. And then after it being brought up again, then it discovered there was actually some merit to those claims, and then that kind of like ruined a lot of the credibility of the claims against Mangs, even though Mangs did end up ultimately confessing, yeah, I did do the thing. Unfortunately, that kind of ruined a lot of the credibility of that kind of thing, and there was a whole bunch of people, No, I even got a comment on one of my videos who had nothing to do with the situation where someone just said Mangs did nothing wrong, and, you know, with that kind of thing, you know, I used to be really good friends with Chaz. I never talked with Mangs, but, you know, Chaz is like a really good friend of mine for a good while, and, like, the whole situation is a huge mess. He's revealed plenty. Goose fully supports him, and she claims that he was not guilty at all of anything, or something like that. I don't know her exact wording, but you know, it's a really awkward situation for me because I like Chaz is like, he helped me like meet a whole bunch of other Fire Emblem YouTubers, and I'm really grateful for him for that. But at the same time, just with everything that's happened, you know, as a result of the situation, you know, my friend Naji, he was trying to initially support Goose as like as a victim from the original part, and because of that, he got sent like death threats for like several months, and that's just like, no, regardless of whether or not Chaz is innocent or guilty, the fact that he didn't really handle that situation as well as I could have hoped him to have handled that situation ended up leading to some of my friends getting harassed and targeted within the community, and that at the very least is something that kind of bugs me. You know, when you have like a Fire Emblem, and you have like a YouTuber who you really care about, or who you've really cared about, and then they end up doing something wrong, you know, do you keep being friends with them? Do you stop being friends with them?
It's very awkward, for sure. And I think a lot of that does carry, and I worry about how much of that carries over to the fact that, to the people I talked about, that I, like, very heavily admire their content for. Like, there's very clearly, like, what am I trying to say? There's very clearly a lot of amazing things that those people have done, and it's like, and it's like there's the part of you that doesn't want to let that one thing dictate how you think of their entire personality, but at the same time you don't know how severe that thing is, and it's such a tricky spot to be in.
Yeah, it's an incredibly awkward spot. You know, I don't want to lose friends, but you know, what can I do? You know, I have friends who don't believe Chaz, who don't believe at all. But no, I'm also friends with Goose, so I've also got friends who do believe in Chaz. So it's like, am I supposed to pick between my friends and just pick a side for a drama? Or am I supposed to just suddenly ditch my friends for a drama? No, of course not. I'm not gonna do that.
This is also why I've been very grateful about the fact, I mean, I guess I didn't really show it much until now, but this is another reason why I'm grateful to have been able to have this conversation, because I've had this eating away at me for a little while, and I've not known who to talk about it with, because I don't want them to like turn that against me or something in a way that is like, that makes me look like a bad person for supporting someone who did something bad. It's such a convoluted thing, and I think the reason why I might find myself in this situation, because I think this is just the person I am, is that I feel like I'm a naive person who, in a lot of cases, tries to see the good in everyone, and whenever someone does something bad, it's hard for me to believe that makes them a bad person.
I believe that. I understand that. I have a very personal philosophy where, like, I believe that there is nothing that can be purely defined by one singular label, and that goes for good and bad, like, extremely for good, for the thing of good and bad. Like, I believe everything is an amalgamation of things, and so something is not, entirely without a doubt, without any, like, shred of good in it. Like, even if it's, like, something horrible and, like, despicable, there's always, like, some shred of good that can be worked out of everything, even if it's really hard to see, or maybe we can't even see it. But, you know, generally, if you want to define if something is good or evil, you have to look at the things that make up that person, and you have to decide, okay, do I think this person is cumulatively that, yes. Accumulatively, yes, that's the word. I believe that you have to decide whether or not a person is accumulatively a good or a bad person, because we are all human. We are all going to make a mistake at some point in our lives, and especially on the internet, we're going to see some of the worst of the things that we have done throughout our lifetimes, front and center for lots of people. So, if somebody does something bad once, that doesn't make them necessarily a bad person, but if, like, that thing is, like... But depending on how bad that thing actually is, like, especially with kind of the stuff that happened regarding some of the things in the Smash community, like...
Yeah.
How, at what degree, at what point do you say, this person can be redeemed, and at what point do you say, this person has done something despicable, and this cannot be forgiven, and we do not want you here anymore? At what point do you really say that?
That is very true. It's a convoluted situation. I've said this a few times, but, like, it's just how it is, and it's so hard to find. It's so hard to find a middle ground with it.
It is hard. It can be hard. Sometimes there's not really any good right answers. Sometimes, and it's especially on the internet, where people like to play a moral high ground. People do love to do that. That's just exactly what a majority of Twitter is doing for a lot of different people. It's because they want to play the, oh, this person didn't do anything bad, it's cancel culture, or this person did nothing bad at all, blank did nothing wrong, like nothing of any real substance, just to sort of, like, jump on the bandwagon of, I am good person, I'm siding with the right good thing, or something like that, even if it's, like, way ahead of the game and doesn't have all the details complete. That's just something that a lot of people do unfortunately try and do, and that doesn't help situations like a lot of these really serious situations that frankly should be kept either private or, like, discussed between people who are directly involved to decide, is this person going to stay here?
Yeah, it's definitely a problem of its own. I don't have much else to say about it. It's just a difficult topic.
It's frustrating. I normally don't do many collabs anymore, but I do like to sort of, like, retain a lot of the friendships that I've had. No, honestly, I've wanted to do a collab with you for a long time, because I like your content. We've talked from time to time because I've seen you in my comment section, and I was like, oh, I'd love to get to know you better as a person,
Yeah.
Because you had to deal with the whole half an A-Pers thing. You kind of understand what it's like to be a YouTuber and have that be a bit of an important, strong element in your life.
I don't think that's taught me much about being a YouTuber in particular. It's more of like even though I made the video about how to get popular on YouTube, a lot of that has been more from being a viewer. I don't think that I have much experience as a YouTube creator. Hell, my channel's not even monetized yet because I don't have enough viewership. But, like, I don't think I truly have that knowledge to know what it means to be a YouTuber. I just kind of have a lot of experience watching it happen and seeing it for myself, and even in just the small amount of what I have, I've seen it in that regard. And even though you wanted to collab with me, this isn't exactly the kind of thing I like doing as a collab very often, just because I feel like these sort of long form videos don't really serve for much. Like, when I want to do a collab, I think a lot of that is still either the kind of thing where there's a lot of thought put into it, and it can get edited into something that's a lot more comprehensive. Like, two examples of some of my favorite collabs that I've wanted to do, or that I have done. The VTuber race the VTuber Pepsi Man race, that was absolutely a collab that was fun as hell, and that was one of my favorites to do because it was like, I think that the total length of the stream was like 3 hours long, and I was able to edit it down into something more digestible, even though that ended up being 45 minutes. That's one of them. Another one of my favorite collabs was back in the early days of Smash Ultimate. Back in Smash 4, I was a Zelda main, and there's no character to this day that I've enjoyed playing in a Smash game more than Smash 4 Zelda. There's just something about the way that her kit worked that just absolutely appealed to me, and they very, very heavily changed it in Smash Ultimate. And I was going to make a whole entire video about that entire topic, and for that video, I literally was going to get one of my friends in the Smash community, who was literally someone who labbed Zelda like in the and like developed a lot of the meta for her, and that was the collab where we were going to do like the sort of long form typical like analytical approach. And even though it never got finished and we both kind of abandoned that project, the time I spent working on that project, even though it only got in the early phases of editing, was still one of the most fun times I've had collabing.
Yeah, I mean, normally I don't do these sort of long videos, just that with my content, I have two types of things I like to do. I like to do fun things, which is normally what I do with collabs, like with, as I mentioned before, like streaming with Future Vision. Those streams are really fun. I like doing that with her, because that's a lot of fun. But I also do have like a more like, I've developed a more serious, more like analytical kind of side, and that's sort of how my two sides of my content are nowadays, like where I have, you know, videos about like Love Live analysis or that sort of thing, and then I'll have silly funny Corin Man does a funny, because that's just sort of like the two types of content that I enjoy doing. So this is just sort of like me indulging in the more serious side of things. Actually, I don't know why I didn't bring this up earlier. I completely forgot. There was this one person. Let me dig through my folders. I'm probably gonna have my mouse clicking pudding in the background, but there was this one person in my DMs who tried to call me all the time and got angry that like I wasn't like return.
I've had a few of those.
Yeah, and this is the last thing they sent me before I blocked them.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
And that's why I've adapted this. That's why I've adapted this system, because like before I would respond to every DM I got, and a lot of the times it was just people saying the word hi, and like what I've learned now is that when people just respond to you with the word, just DM you like for the first time just with the word hi, that's a very large red flag that they don't want to talk to you for the right reasons.
Yeah, I can
like
definitely.
It's just much easier to just not respond, because otherwise you're just gonna have to go into this whole entire thing, because usually when people do that, what I've learned, what I've seen personally, is because they're wanting to start a friendship with you, but they don't know how to. And it's like, if you don't know enough about me to even start a conversation with one of my interests, then you don't deserve to be my friend. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, like the way I see it, I believe everyone deserves attention, but nobody deserves attention from you specifically. Like,
sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's
like everyone should have everyone deserves to have some friends and someone to talk with, but like.
And this kind of goes back to the whole thing about how getting a lot of I guess for lack of a better term, clout changes the way you have to behave. This is a smaller thing that happens when you only get like a moderate amount of clout, but like before I became the half A press guy, I feel like I wouldn't have really gotten these DMs, or at the very least I wouldn't have been as bothered by them, because I would have found something to have in common with them. But nowadays it's like I already feel like I feel like a lot of people I talk to, I don't think they care about me because of the things I enjoy or the person I am. I feel like a lot of people just want to talk to me because I'm the guy who made the A-Press comments.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I feel different about that as long as there's at least something we very clearly have in common, or at least there's a mutual level of respect. Maybe not mutual level of respect, but there's at least a similar level of familiarity. Like, the thing that would make someone like you different from the kind of person I'm talking about who would DM me is that I found your videos on my own, and that I liked them, and I immediately noticed we have at least a couple things in common with just our sense of humor and enjoyment for Eurobeat,
Yeah.
if nothing else.
Yeah.
And that's all it takes. That's all I ask for when people want to be my friends. There's something to connect us, but most of the time, a lot of people don't understand that and will just try to be friends with me and just DM me, and I'm just like, I don't know anything about you, and I'm not trying to figure anything about you unless you really do want to work for it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if it's one thing that I am kind of glad about having like a smaller YouTube channel with only like 1K or so subscribers is that, you know, I have a following and I have people who watch my content and enjoy my content, but on the same hand, you know, like, because I am small, not as many people know about me, and that means that I get to still interact with a lot of people as if I was just any old person from wherever land, and I think that I like that I have that. If I just became like some like big YouTuber who's swamped with a ton of people who just want to be like, oh, you're a ghost guy, be my friend. Like, if I, like, getting swamped with that and not being able to have a true interaction with people who enjoy my content, to me, that would be really, like, disheartening.
As someone who's gone through that quite a bit, I can definitely say that's a luxury I do miss. Like, it's not like I can never find people who don't know who I am, because that happens a lot, and I still can, but, like, it still makes things a little bit more difficult, because I can't just talk to any old person on the internet, because a lot of people will know who I am. But like, what I found is just generally when I find a server that's more fueled by an interest and less fueled by, say, a person or specific group of people making content or something like that, I feel like I tend to get treated with a lot more respect there, because instead of it interaction being fueled by, oh, I like watching YouTube and you are a person who I know because I watch YouTube, it's much more of like, say, biggest example I have right now anyway is there's a Discord server for there's been a growing community for Mario Superstar Baseball, and it's just like, in that server people know who I am, but they don't care because they're just here to play some baseball, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm here for that too. And as a result, I feel like I've gotten a much more closer connection to them than I have a lot of, like I mentioned before, Nathaniel Benny and Simple Flips. I have nothing against either of them as people, but it's just like I left both of their servers because a lot of the people who would try DMing me came specifically from their servers.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. No, I love watching Simple Flip's content, but I doubt I'm ever gonna try and contact him, because I mean, we have like some things in common, but I don't play like modded Mario 64. I don't play ROM hacks. I play Mario Maker, but I'm not that good at it, and I'm not like super into it. Like he'd be much more, and I don't play Tetris either. So like some of the interests that I share with other people, I don't think I have any interest that I could really share with Simple Flips, and I think that's kind of why I wouldn't want to try and reach out to him, because I don't think that we'd be able to really hit it off that well or be able to talk about things. He's not gonna have an interest in Love Live.
I just think that's the kind of thing that like is the reason why you should avoid looking at responding to every DM, because I feel like that's just something you learn with time as you get older in your life. And kind of a similar thing about what like Dream stands think about Dream or something like that. Like I think it's just something that eventually the people who are involved with that will eventually grow out of, but for the time being you just have to put up with that being annoying and weird.
Yeah, it's YouTube can change a lot about a person, and there's definitely a lot of people who do try and become a YouTuber to try and like get some following and get attention from their channel. Like there are some people who intentionally want to get that attention for many reasons that are generally can be toxic to oneself, and that's part of why I learned to distance myself a bit from my channel, because I need to handle this YouTube channel in a way that is both good for me having fun with it, but also not in a way where I feel tied or obligated to post anything for my channel, because I have fans somewhere or something like that. You know, that would take the fun out of it. That would take the that could really negatively affect me in a lot of different ways, and I think that would hurt my content too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what it comes down to, and honestly, that's why I kind of like, for a large degree, I took a break from making YouTube videos for a really long time. Like for I think a couple years, I just didn't really make anything because, well, I eventually just kind of realized it's not what I want to. It's not the path I want to pursue. I've since kind of like decided, okay, maybe I want to make a couple videos that are just like a different direction than I originally thought. I definitely abandoned the whole entire high effort. The only things I'm going to post are things I put like hours of work into, because that's just not a healthy way to run a YouTube channel. But I think the absolute best example of how I'm going to be handling my channel is the how to be popular on YouTube video, which is also very relevant to this topic, because the first thing I talk about in that video is what it truly means to be popular on YouTube, and how it's not, and how you may find it's not even the path you want to go down.
Yeah.
Because I know I didn't think about that when I was making videos when I was younger. I just was like, oh, more people, if making videos means people will watch those videos and people will like you because of it, and you'll get attention. Like that's all that my that's all I thought about back when I first started making videos. And then when I got famous from a YouTube comment of all things, I realized what that actually would have meant if I had continued to do that.
Yeah, and I can definitely understand that. By the way, everyone, go check out that video. I'm gonna put it in the description.
It's so, I've talked about it so many times within whatever this is, but it's just because it's so relevant to the topic.
Yeah, like I'm not just doing that just to plug it because I want to try and do anything like that. But just like,
I mean, I'm not either.
You can,
because I've just brought it up so many times because it was literally just an idea I had where it's like someone sent me a DM. I suddenly realized I have a lot to say about the topic. And then I decided I'd use my responses as a format to base an entire video on.
Yeah, and you know, I've had a lot to say about it too. So that was a really good video, and I'm gonna link it below just because I think that would be really interesting for, like, if people are interested in this podcast style video, they're gonna be interested in that too. So
yeah,
they've got an extra 10 minutes on top of however long this video is.
Yeah, I mean, my goal with making those kinds of videos in the future, because I do want to make more of this, is I still want to have it be digestible as like a quick thing to watch, but just have it be same kind of valuable information and discussion.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of why I like limit the amount of pages that I put in my scripts, because if I know that I have too many, it's gonna take an eternity for me to edit them, and then it's also going to just bury the point completely. Like, I do like to run through and cut things down.
That is a very smart technique. I've not actually heard of someone doing that before, and I admire the fact that you do that. The way I just usually go about it is that I just tend to make bullet points about what I want to talk about.
See, I can't work like that. See, I'm not really, like, this is kind of weird after an hour and a half of doing podcast talk, but I'm not at my best when I'm doing unscripted work. I'm 100% at my best when I have time to sit down and think about my thoughts and mull over them and think of the best way to present them word-wise. A lot of the way that I can even speak like this now is because I've taken public speaking courses in college, so I've been able to remove some of the amounts of ums that I would use in my speech and sort of project my voice a little bit more. Like, part of those classes, my voice is a lot softer, and to some degree my voice can be soft in many different ways, but I found that I've been able to project my voice more because of those classes.
That's awesome. You've got me self-conscious wondering how many times I've said ums or stuff like that.
Don't worry, absolutely everyone does, and I have done it a million times. In this video, for sure, I haven't been counting or paying attention, but knowing me, I'm sure that I have. So, no worries.
It's not too important, but what I will say is that, shoot, I lost my train of thought! Ah! Oh, that's right. I think the reason I prefer doing unscripted but like moderately formatted type of like videos is just because of the fact that I think with my sort of ADHD, I just am able to focus a lot better when I take my first draft and just use that and maybe make small adjustments instead of just writing something out, making sure I say it all exactly word for word. I think that I'm just much more comfortable knowing generally what I want to talk about, and then just letting my mind take the wheel.
Yeah, actually, funny that you say that. I actually also have ADHD, and the way that I do my scripts is I kind of like train of thought things first, where I put stuff down on paper, just to have something written out, and then afterwards I go back and I refine the thoughts and that kind of thing. Like, I cut like a good amount of dialogue or like words out of a section about Daya in my latest analysis that I put out, and that was because I didn't think it really fit. I didn't think it flowed that well, especially because I wanted to like sort of make a point of something that Daya was doing in the thing, and I didn't want to put that in at the beginning. So instead, I reworded things a bit so that it would flow much better, like chronologically, and so that's generally how I find myself editing content better that way.
Yeah.
So it's however it works differently for different people.
Absolutely. Anyway, now I think I've concluded everything I really want to. I think I've talked about everything that I think I need to. So I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, this has been really fun. I'm happy to do more collabs with you in the future about maybe more lighthearted topics, or just about doing something funny or fun or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely would be down. Shoot, how to end this? How do we end this exactly? This is a episode.
How do I end the video? That reminded me of like this, like a Soldier's Dispenser collab. There's one part of it where there's like this guy named Benkin who made like this one submission, and he's like, "No, how do I leave the video? Oh right," and they press the button, and then the whole bunch of engineers pops up. So,